Wholesalers, what do you do when you're talking to a seller that wants too much money? Right now, we're going to show you guys how to negotiate with sellers that want too much. My name's Nathan Payne, and this is Nathan Valley. How you doing, Nathan?
What's going on, guys? I'm doing great, man. I'm excited to talk about this topic. Guys, we have literally, oh my gosh, spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on marketing and literally spoken to hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of sellers. Nate, I know you've locked up hundreds of contracts. I've locked up over 100 contracts in a single year. And so, guys, we're going to share everything that we've learned best on how to negotiate with sellers, that specifically when you're talking to a seller and they want too much.
Happens all the time, right? And you can't blame them. Why? Because technology shows people what they believe their home is worth. Despite the condition it's in, they don't really know the algorithm that's showing them on Zillow, Redfin, Batch Leads, whatever you're using. It doesn't really know the condition of the home, doesn't really know the street that well, that's on the worst street in the neighborhood. It just is going off of the data that's in like a general area, right? It's not that exact. So sellers will see that and they'll say, oh, my house is worth that much. And again, you can't blame them, right? They want as much as they can get for it.
100%, 100%. So what do we do then?
So this is what we do. So I have actual like a live case study, like an example of what we're doing. I mean, there's so many live case studies about this because this happens all the time. All right. So what do you do? So the way that we work with sellers and, the process we go about is we do not just go in on the first call and just make a lowball offer, right? Like a firm lowball offer and say, hey, this is the offer. Are you ready to move forward? If not, I'm going to go buy something else, right? That does not work, right?
Yeah, guys, the take it or leave it type of set, like throw it out the window. It doesn't work. It's really ineffective. And on top of that, it's not a fun way to do the business. People do not like it. And, you might have already found through your own experience, they'll let you know that they don't like it. And also, what are some of the other things that don't work? When a seller says, hey, I want, $1 million for my property, the kind of cheesy sales that, oh, well, Mr. Seller, did you see this comp over here that sold for $10? Guys, that doesn't work either. Right. And again, from my personal experience, there are certain things to where I know there's things that people teach to where in theory it sounds great, but guys, there's things that I've tried time and time again. And in the real world, they just don't work. And those are some examples.
It's pretty funny. Like when you do that, like, oh, did you see this comp that sold for a lot less? Like they don't care. They don't care because they're not like, oh, I didn't know that. You're right. Okay. I will sell it for less than I thought. Right. Like you haven't built that relationship with them to build that trust where they actually even believe you're looking at the right data. Right. Or they don't even care.
So, and what happens is, guys, if any of you have tried it, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you bring that up or you approach it in that type of way, does the conversation get a little bit kind of combative, a little bit abrasive to where now there's this resistance or like, well, yeah, but that one doesn't have the square, they don't have that,
but my yard is
finished
a lot
walk-in
nicer.
closet in the basement.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that mine's been, housing 10 cats and 10 dogs inside only for the past 15 years, but mine's got an extra 50 square feet to it.
And they start defending their property, right? So you're already in like in a bad, I would say in a like you said, combative situation, a situation that is not beneficial, right? You want to be you want a win-win scenario with the seller, right? So this is what we do. When I'm talking to a seller, I first find out why they're selling. I could care less about the condition of the house. I want to know what their situation is. Why are you selling? It seems like a great property. What's going on? And then I want to eliminate different options first before going into my cash offer. Why? Because cash is usually the worst option, right? So if you start with that, you're starting off with the worst option for them, right? When it comes to price. But if you find out that's what they want, then that's fine. But you have to find out that if that's what they want by asking questions like, have you thought about listing it? Have you thought about keeping it as a rental? Can you keep it yourself and live in it? Can you flip it yourself? You want to run through these specific options so you're not just immediately like, hey, tell me about the house. Okay, it sounds like it's pretty bad. There's a one right down the corner. It looks just as bad as yours, and someone bought it for a nickel. So my offer's around there. Like, again, that doesn't work. So you want to eliminate other options that they have that are potentially better, that will get them a better offer. And if they are like, no, which I'm about to tell you about a case study I had, not a case study, but a seller I'm working with, this is exactly what happened. But anyway, I just want to let you guys know that just going through lowball offer, if it's not working, there's a reason why.
Yeah, guys, and a lot of times we think, oh man, it's I got to get better at negotiating. It's my sales process. How do I convince a seller, to accept a lower offer? Guys, one thing I've learned when it comes to sales and negotiating is you can never convince somebody to do anything that they don't want to do. Right? That's not what we're doing here. What we're doing is what kind of Payne was just mentioning. We're trying to uncover all the information that surrounds the situation, right? And see what is the perfect fit for that person. What is the perfect solution? Because when we see all of the cards in front of us, the game gets a whole lot easier to play. And most of the time, most situations when I'm talking with someone and they're like, man, this seller, they just want too much for the house. Most people that I chat with, the problem isn't the sales process. The problem isn't how do I get them to a lower price? The problem is, dude, you've got step number one wrong, which is you're talking to the wrong person. Like you should have been off the phone with them in 5 minutes. And guys, the way we do that is you may have heard there's 4 pillars to qualifying a lead, right? There's timeline, motivation, condition of the house, and price, right? Timeline, how quick are they? Do they want to sell? What, does the house need work? Is there something that we can add value to? What's the one I'm missing? Motivation. What's the reason for selling? And then price. Price is the least important, right? So a lot of times you will get a crazy number, a crazy price in that first 5 minutes of the conversation. That's fine. Just put it on the shelf. We'll come back to it later.
Yes.
Right. But
actually, I like when their price is bad because then that lets me know that a lot of other wholesalers are probably just losing out on the deal and I can win it.
100%. And then just like we have the 4 pillars of qualifying a lead, guys, equally, if not more important, is there's the 4 pillars of disqualifying a lead, right? And this is, we're presenting the other options to him. Hey, Mr. Seller, have you considered just listing it with an agent? Have you considered maybe just fixing it up yourself and then selling it? Have you considered renting it out? Have you considered just staying in the property or, handing it off to down to a family member? Right? What we're doing is we're presenting all the other options because we're getting them to tell us, why are we the perfect fit for you? If I ask them, hey, have you thought about listing it with an agent? They're like, well, yeah, I have. And I go, well, great. What's holding you back from just moving forward with that? And if the seller says, well, we're meeting with an agent on Friday and we're planning to list the house for $600,000. Oh, okay, Mr. Seller, got it. Well, is there any reason you wouldn't just move forward with that plan and list it for $600,000? Well, yeah. I mean, you said that you guys pay all cash. You can close in less than 30 days, and I don't have to
give me $600,000.
Right? Exactly. If you're telling me if you're able to pay me $600,000 cash and I don't have to do any of that other stuff, yeah, I would do. Okay, got it, Mr. Seller. So it sounds like this would only be able to make sense if we were able to pay the full 600 cash and, XYZ, and you didn't have to pay for anything.
Right.
Yeah. Otherwise I'll just list on Friday. Okay. Got it. Well, Mr. Seller, I'll be honest, we're probably not the right fit for you. If circumstance were to change, please feel free to reach out anytime. Boom. On to the next one. Right. I'm not forcing an offer down somebody that isn't the right fit. Guys, as wholesalers, just because somebody owns a piece of property and they're interested or slightly interested in selling it, it does not mean we are the perfect fit for them, right? And on the flip side, same thing with real estate agents, right? Or listing a house on the MLS. Just because somebody owns a property and just because somebody may or might be slightly interested in selling, it doesn't mean listing it on the MLS is the perfect fit for them, right? So that's why step number 1 is, are we on the phone, right? Are we talking to the right person? Is this the type of client that we are looking to work, the type of seller that we serve?
Is it even the right person, the decision maker, right? Like you could be talking to someone that wants to sell, but they have no ability to make that decision, right? So that's a complete waste as well. So let's talk about the scenario. You guys are going to like this, Nathan. I don't think I've told you the whole story, but this is classic. So this is one of the people that we work with. he had this deal and he's like, hey man, so this is the situation. I made an offer at 315. That's what he said. He made the offer at 315 and it was like just a hard offer. Like, hey, we can do this. Now the seller did not want to accept that, but they just went back and forth and they bid her up. Not how we do it, but this is what he did, right? Not everybody does what we say, which is fine. I talked to him about it, but he said 315. And this was in New York. So they have both. There's the two attorneys, right? There's the seller's attorney and there's the buyer's attorney, right? Now they were like kind of strong armed her into 315. She didn't really want it, but she was like, fine. Got to the point where she sent it to the attorney and the attorney's like, hey, don't work with don't accept that offer. That offer sucks. Like that's it. That was his opinion. So she did not sign. So they did all this work and they gave an offer at 315 and it just, the deal died right in that moment. He didn't really know what to do at that point because he was like, I made my offer. She didn't accept it and the attorney killed it. What do I do? Right. So Nathan, does that kind of sounds familiar with most wholesalers? Like they make an offer.
Since I'm from New York, yeah, that sounds familiar.
Okay.
Love it when that happens, man.
Yeah.
I just love it when a totally experienced and certified professional attorney knows how to tell a seller what price they should and shouldn't sell their home for. That's always my favorite.
Yes, love it. So this is what I said. Hey, I said, give me her phone number. Let me call her. So I called her and I said, hey, look, I work with so-and-so that was working with you on this deal. Actually, I've been doing this for quite a while and I understand that you want, a certain amount. She's like, yes, I want 400,000. And it's, what does Zillow say it's worth? It says it's worth about 400,000, right? She's told me like the attorney, so like, hey, don't sell it for that. She told me the whole scenario. But I also was like, well, hey, I just want to understand, are you thinking about potentially listing this? I did the qualification things, right? Like the dequalifications. And she said, look, I just want something that's firm. I don't want to list it on the market. I don't want to flip it myself. I don't want to be a landlord, but I don't want any less than 400,000, right? So I said, look, I totally get it. The 315 that was offered previously, like that obviously makes sense for us because that's a price that would like we can get it done. And by the way, like that's Zillow says around 400, but it's actually worth a little bit more. But anyway, so she's like, hey, yeah, I just don't want to take any less. But it checks all the motivating factors. Like motivated to sell, just had a terrible experience with tenants, wants to get out of it, just doesn't want to get. She's not ready to accept that low of an offer yet, right? So what do? We do the painless flipping method. I said, look, you know what? Where I need to be and where we were before, obviously it's the low threes, right? And she's like, yeah, I don't want that. I said, I totally get it. I actually know a couple buyers in the area that I work with and I wholesale deals to. I don't say wholesale, but I say a couple of buyers that I know that I work with and flip homes with. I think they might be able to pay a little bit more than I can. And that's because some of them flip it themselves. Some of them live in it. Some of them have crews that they can do it for cheaper than I can. Can I run this by them? She said, sure. Okay. Obviously, who has a problem with seeing if you can get more money? Reached out to a couple of the buyers in the area and we set up a showing. Okay. So a lot of the buyers that we were talking to were like, hey, I don't really need to go see it. I'll be around this price. Right. And the reason a lot of them didn't like want to go see it yet is because 400 was way off from where they wanted to be. So they're like, look, if we can get it anywhere around 350 to 320, I'm good. So we got a couple offers between that range. That's much more than 315. Right. So I called her. They didn't go see the house, right? Because they were like, hesitant to go because it was higher. So I called her and I said, hey, look, this is the situation. I know you want 400,000. I reached out to a lot of the buyers that we work with the area that are experienced, and unfortunately, we're not able to get around that $400,000 mark. Well, she was like, well, where could you be? And I was like, most of them were between 315 to 340. I gave her the range, right? And she's like, oh, no. The least I could accept is 375. So it came just immediately right then because I gave her some information. She was like, she came down 25K. Now, does that mean she won't come down more? No, it doesn't mean she won't come down more. It's just the timing isn't right yet. So I said, look, I totally get why you don't want to go down to that price range, but realistically, if you want to sell for cash and you don't want to have any pending, if you don't want to like wait, you're going to have to be in the mid threes. That's just what the data is telling us. This is what the buyers are telling us. And she's like, well, what do I do? Like, I don't want to, I want to sell for cash, but I don't want to take that much of a haircut. I said, there's a couple other options. If you want the 400,000, we're going to have to take this to the market, right? Novation, or we can buy it on terms and, we can explore that route. She's like, well, what does that look like? And I said, do you own the house outright? She's like, yes, I own it. There's no mortgage. I said, if you finance us, you can finance our flip and we wouldn't need to go get hard money. I explained that situation, or you can finance us and we'll just buy it and you can be the bank. And she's like, really? So I wouldn't have to worry about any tenants or anything. I'd still get paid and I wouldn't have to, hassle with all the stuff that I hate hassling with, like even doing repairs. So no, you would sell it and you'd be the bank and you would just be collecting checks. And she was really open to that. Now, why was she open to those new options? Because we gave her the information. And at the end of the call, she was like, I'm going to look more at this creative financing thing. I like it. But thank you for the information. Thank you for walking me through. This is making me feel more comfortable. So if you're that wholesaler that just makes her that lowball offer, what happened with the attorney killed the deal because they didn't build that relationship. We're friends now. I sent her a picture of my new farm, my new yard. She's like, oh, I love that area. Like, so it's more of being a consultant and helping you find a win-win scenario with the seller versus just strong-arming people and hoping they take your crappy offer.
Guys, there's so many, it's so much more than just, because I don't want you to have the wrong take. The takeaway is not, oh, I need to be able to offer, creative finance exit. No, because that would not have got the deal done. If in the beginning of and again, like, guys, hear me out. If that conversation happened in the beginning, right, about the creative finance, she probably wasn't ready for it yet. If you look at the way the whole process went, it went from, right, the other wholesaler kind of did things a traditional way and was like, hey, we can do this price. And then the attorney's like, no way, not happening. And then every other wholesaler would have to walk away from it and there's nothing they can do. Right. But what did we do? Hey, Mr. or Ms. Seller, we have some relationships to where, for whatever reason, they might be able to pay a little bit more than us. Let us have them take a look and see if they're able to get to the number that you need. Sure, no problem, seller says. Now, guys, here's the thing. Number one, you've set the expectations. You know how much easier wholesaling is when you're able to be honest and transparent and everybody knows what's going on. It gets a lot easier.
They don't care if you wholesale it.
Right. I don't have to pretend and say, it's my contractors coming through or, whoever. No, guys, one, that's shady. Two, there's a better way to do things. And three, it's not very effective, nor does it make us feel good. Right. So the expectations, everybody knows what's going on. The seller's okay with it. And two, you're now armed with better information. Right. Because you just went from 315 to knowing, oh, okay, these buyers, they're in the 320 to 350 range. Now, here's the other thing. Well, but Nate, she still wanted 400. It didn't work. No, because you are not the bad guy, right? Hey, Ms. Seller, sorry. It looks like we're not able to make the 400 work. Well, why is that? Well, they took a look at it and here's A, B, C, D, X, Y, Z.
This is what I told her.
As to why they can't. Sorry, go
the
ahead.
buyers actually gave me information. They said that specific street is a little run down. It's not as nice as the other surrounding homes in the area or the neighborhoods. And that's stuff I would not have known. This is in Long Island. This is a place I've never been. Right. So, but these buyers were able to give me that information. It's not, tenants are difficult to deal with there, blah, blah, blah. So I was able to give her that information. So, and again, I was equipped to negotiate better now versus just saying, well, I looked at this house that I'm seeing that sold for $1 and that's why I need to buy yours for $1, right? Nobody wants to hear that.
Exactly. And you're not the bad guy presenting the information. Hey, it's not me saying this, it's them. Right. And so now they are reset. This is why I love working deals and negotiating deals that have a ton of competition from other wholesalers. Why? Because all they do is they perfectly tee up that seller for me by making all these lowball offers that seller doesn't want. Right. And the funny thing is, the seller, they do a lot of times say yes to the prices that are in the same range that all these wholesalers are offering, but they went about it in a way that upset the seller. And so when they are ready to make that decision to come down on price, they're completely unwilling to work with any of those other people because they just piss them off.
Yeah, a lot of accepting an offer from a lower offer, as you would say, is making them feel like they made a good decision, right? No one feels like they made a smart decision, or if they take just a gut punch. But if you can explain, if you can say, hey, the data, like these are the people I flip with, and this is where their average is, they feel like they're making an educated decision, right? Versus
100%.
Oh, I just got beat up. I wanted 4, and they said I needed to. They can do 220, and now I freaking feel like a loser.
I've got the perfect. So, guys, people buy and sell based on emotion, right? Yes, price comes into play a little bit, but buying and selling is primarily an emotional decision. Perfect example. I had a very good friend of mine a few years ago, to where he had this wonderful 99 Toyota Camry for like his whole life, right? And he was finally ready to get a new car, and he was super excited about it. And he knew exactly what car he wanted. He'd known it for like 2 years, and he's finally in a position where he's like, hey, I'm ready. I'm doing it. I'm getting the car. I think it took a few months. I can't remember how many months, and I felt bad for the sales guy, because the sales guy couldn't necessarily get him over the fence to say yes and signing up. And it wasn't because he wasn't ready he was ready to sign and buy the car. Day one, he walked out. Why did it take so many months for him to buy? And it was funny because because I asked him, I was like, dude, just buy, like, what's holding you back on buying the car? And it's so funny being on this side of the conversation. He literally goes, I just want to feel like I'm getting a deal. And I knew that's exactly what it was too. And I felt so bad for the sales guy, because I'm like, dude, if he just threw in some free car mats or like something that was of no cost to the company and made him feel like he was getting a good deal, he would have sold that car day one. Guys, same thing with the sellers, right? Same thing. And this is to where you can offer, it's not just about offering more money. If you're offering more money, but they don't feel totally confident in it, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they don't feel like that's a good deal, this is where, like, creative finance, yeah, guys, paying more money sounds cool until they realize it's going to take 30 years, and not everyone feels like that's actually that great of a deal.
Exactly.
Right? It depends on the person. So that's where buying and selling, the emotional decision of it really, really is key with this whole thing. And if we're just kind of making people choke down cash offers that don't know us, like us, trust us, and it's an offer that they're not even interested in from the start, that does not make them emotionally feel good or want to do business with you. Speaking
Nailed
from
it, bro.
experience.
Yes, crushed it. So how to negotiate with sellers that want too much, guys? It's the process. It's the pain.
I stand corrected. It was a 2001 Camry, beautiful car of champions.
Is that your buddy?
Yeah, it is.
He's watching this live. That's hilarious. Awesome. Thanks for the support, buddy, Joshua. So, yeah, just so you guys know, Nathan nailed it. And the way to negotiate, it is the process that you go through it. It's the way you make people feel. So if you're struggling to get deals done because you're just gut punching people and you're just trying to prove that your offer is better by using comps that are really low and it's not working, it's not a surprise. It doesn't work. At least if you called me, Nate, and I was trying to sell my house and you're like, well, according to the house that's sold next to, I already know about that house. I don't care about that house. I don't want to hear about that house. Don't bring it up. It's going to make me mad. It's just that's not working. It's There's a reason why. So anyway, I hope this is helpful to you guys. If you want to use the painless flipping method, go to painlessflipping.com. We're going to obviously we teach people how to use this even more. And we also have a free Facebook group. That's Painless Flipping free Facebook group where we teach this for free in one of our free courses. But this is so important, Nathan, especially like guys like us that we don't like spending tons of money on marketing. We get limited leads. We have to squeeze everything we can out of leads, right? And how do you squeeze everything out? Go ahead.
Ben, I don't like pissing people off either. Right, guys? There's a way to where you can serve people at a higher level and do it in a way to where they really enjoy that conversation with you. And whether you buy the property or not, it was a very helpful and insightful conversation for them. So,
and also the thing that I don't like is doing tons and tons of like follow-up. Like if you produce a ton of leads, for example, and you're just lowballing everybody, you got to go through a lot of leads. For me, I don't want to build a business or have a business that just has to filter through dozens and dozens and dozens of leads because my strategy to monetize them is bad. So if you guys want to improve that and do more deals and make more money with less leads, this is the way. I'm telling you. So Nate, that's pretty much what I got to say about how to negotiate with sellers that want too much. Do you have anything else you want to leave everybody else with?
Ben, I think that's it. I hope this was helpful, guys, and wish you all the best. Hope to chat with you soon.
Okay, we'll see you guys next week.
Later, guys.